31,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in Russia's war, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced in February.
Every person is a big loss for us. Our losses are heavy. 31,000 Ukrainians died in this war.
For over a year, Ukraine has been keeping these numbers a tight secret. So why is Kyiv releasing it now? What does this new information tell us? And what is still unknown? My name is Toma Istomina. I'm Deputy Chief Editor at the Kyiv Independent, and I'm here to help you understand this better. Before we go on, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will help this video reach a wider audience and support the Kyiv Independent in its mission of spreading the truth about Russia's war in Ukraine. Zelensky made this announcement on the weekend of the second anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. In his speech, he made a point to note that there have been numbers floating around suggesting losses are much higher. It seems he might be using this opportunity to correct the narrative, because high unofficial numbers have been used to exaggerate Russian successes. They can affect morale in Ukraine and add to pressure on Kyiv to open negotiations. At the same time, Ukraine is facing a severe ammunition shortage, and this could be a signal to its partners, either to show them the sacrifice Ukraine has already made, or to signal that it is not in such a weak position. Ukraine is also about to embark on a new mobilization campaign, and showing how many troops it has lost is an important part of explaining to its people why new recruits are needed. And finally, Zelensky recently appointed General Alexander Syrsky as the new chief commander leading the military, so there may be an attempt to re-establish relations with the public under a new commander. We still don't know exactly how these numbers are being calculated, however. It's possible that the true number may be higher, depending on which deaths are included in this figure. Military sources told the Kyiv Independent that Zelensky's number refers to those killed since the 2022 full-scale invasion, not since the beginning of Russia's initial invasion of Ukraine in 2014. Still unclear is how this number was calculated and which deaths are included. Zelensky did not reveal how many troops have been injured, saying he wanted to avoid telling Russia how many soldiers have been removed from the battlefield.
I won't say how many are wounded, because Russia will know how many people have left the battlefield. I simply won't say this.
Around 8,000 more troops are considered missing in action, and it is unclear how many of these may be killed. At the same time, at least 3,500 Ukrainian prisoners of war were held in Russia as of December, according to the Ukrainian authorities. The General Staff declined to provide more information on the 31,000 number, citing a need to protect sensitive information.
Different societies treat these numbers very differently. And when you're in an active conflict that is seen as existential to your country, it's a lot more sensitive than it might be in the case of some of the wars the US has experienced in the last 20 years. I would say that in the last 20 years, when the US has fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, it has been required to be very transparent about troop losses, but it's also a different situation. Those were wars that, in some sense, the US chose to engage in, not something like Ukraine is experiencing, where they have an existential threat from a gigantic neighbor next door. It makes a lot of sense to want to keep some of those numbers kind of quiet, both to not provide any kind of succor or encouragement to the enemy, and then also to be sure that the country's morale stays high and that you're able to continue fighting.
Zelensky said in the same speech that more than 180,000 Russian troops have been killed in the war. There are two important things to remember here. First, even though Russia has lost far more fighters, it has a vastly bigger fighting force and a far bigger population than Ukraine to recruit its fighters from. Secondly, Russia hasn't published its own data on casualties, so Zelensky's figure is only an estimate. Independent Russian media organizations have tried to calculate the country's losses. In February, Meduza and Mediazona looked at government statistics, records and obituaries and came up with an estimate that 83,000 Russian troops have died so far. Ukraine's general staff has also been publishing regular claims of Russian troop losses, but these include injuries as well. The most recent figure from March was over 420,000 Russian casualties. The British Defense Ministry, which puts out daily intelligence updates about Russia's war, also recently estimated that about 350,000 Russians have been killed or wounded in Ukraine.
I think we should look at it as a sign that Zelensky is trying to be transparent with his people, that he's trying to be transparent with folks who might give him aid. I also think that we should see that as a floor on the actual number. I don't think he would present numbers that are vastly below the actual count. I think he might be a little bit optimistic in portraying what is actual killed in action. But, it's an indication of just how much the Ukrainians have fought, how hard they've fought to protect their territory and how hard they continue to fight, frankly.
If you like this video and want to see more content like this from the Kyiv Independent, please like this video, leave comments and subscribe to our YouTube channel.